3.1, represent relations. So we have a new chapter, and it's all about functions. So the basic idea about a relationship is if, you can consider how things are related. I mean, that's kind of the idea. It's like if an increased pollution leads into certain species dying off, then maybe this would be like pollution, and here are the number of species. And if you see like things decreasing, then those two things might be connected. So here's what relations are all about. You can represent them a bunch of different ways. Here's ordered pairs. These are also coordinates. You're familiar with those. Practicing those forever. So here's 1, 2. And in a table, that means that the value of x and y could be written as 1 and 2, the way you'd have it set up. On a graph, I'd be 1 unit over, 2 units up, and I could map this point with 1, 2. The only thing that might be a little bit new here is like on the left, you could have x, on the right you could have y, and when you represent this as a mapping, you would show that the input of 1 connects to the output of 2. So scan through these, pause the video just to make sure you see that all 3 of these are showing up in all spots. Now here, you're told to do it yourself. And if it says express the relation of all of this as a table, well, here's the table, here's the graph, here's the mapping, then you can determine the domain and range. This is called set notation, by the way. A fancy bracket opens up, and then you have a ordered pair separated by 1 comma, and then more, and then more, and then more. So as we write these ordered pairs, we're going to list them out. 3, 2. We're going to set up a table with x on the left, y on the right. We're going to set up a graph. And I'd like you to use your ruler for this. Mine's going to go from -5 to 5, -5 to +5, and then tick marks as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you're getting caught up, pause this to make sure you're keeping my speed. And then it looks like we have these values here. So go ahead and scribble through these, please. And we'll try to fix those. That should actually have been blank. Sorry about that. So here's 3, 2. 3, 2. And then I'm over 3 and up 2. And then I'm going to ask you guys to do this on that space, but make it clear. I'm going to draw mine separately. So here's 3 mapping to 2. Here's -1, 2. -1, 2. And I'm going to keep on talking, but I think you can probably do this one as I speak, so go ahead and just make sure we match. Now do you see how I have -1, 2 there? Since we've already written 2, we'd show this mapping connecting to that same value of 2. So 2 inputs, 3 and -1, both give me 2 as a result. 0, -3, 0, -3, so I'm moving on to that term. And then here's 0, -3. And then for the mapping, 0, -3. The last value is -2, -2, -2, -2, back 2, down 2, and then -2, -2. And as we're looking at the domain, these are all the x values that we got. Usually it's nice to list them in increasing order. So here's -2, -1, 0, 3, and here's the range, -3, -2. I have some tight space here as I'm dealing with this iPad, so make sure yours is more neat than mine. And then it's always good to kind of scan through, and you can check your work, like, okay, here's 3, -1, 0, -2, 3, -1, 0, -2. Here's 2, 2, -3, -2. Just kind of going through and making sure everything's neatly done. Here, you don't have the setup, so on purpose I showed you one with the setup, and now one without, so that you can see how I'd like you to arrange this work. So you should put ordered pairs. I know they don't ask you for that, but we'll put it in there anyway. You should label the table, graph, and then the mapping. So you are showing all your work neatly and clearly. Once I do one, I think I'm just going to show the rest. So here's my first -4, 8 value. Here's my table, -4, +8. I don't know why I put a parentheses there. Let me fix that. And then for the graph, yours should definitely be neater than mine. But this range is going to have to go all the way from, well, the domain actually, since I'm talking about the x, to the -10. And so here's -4, +8. And then for the mapping, here's -4 connecting to +8. And then lastly, you put D:(R:), where we'll write out the domain and the range. And don't abbreviate that if you think you need more practice with domain and range. But these are terms from earlier in the year, so the assumption is you're pretty comfortable there. Okay, I've done one. I'm going to just put the results up in 5 seconds, so get caught up. I'll show you them now. Hopefully yours matches mine. I know that looking at the graph it's going to be a little bit challenging to kind of see exactly what's going on. But make sure that you have -4 connecting to both 8 and to 7, and then make sure that you have both -1 and 6 connecting to 9. For the domain, all you got to do is list out the x values, and these would be -4, -1, and then 6, and the range would be 7, 8, 9. This will be the first of the 3 videos. I think that probably felt okay, so give it a go. And if you feel good, move on to the next one.